Welcome to Do the Math America. I am Charlene, Math Shaman. This is Lesson 13, Order of Operations. I work out of the Beginning Algebra book, pages 23 and 24. Please use the link to the PDF file of this textbook in the description box below this video to make a hard copy of this textbook for yourself. It is out of print and no longer available for purchase otherwise. My lessons 7 through 47 are from the material in this textbook. To simplify an expression with numbers, we use the following order of operations. Number 1, do all operations within the grouping symbols first start with the innermost grouping symbols. Grouping symbols are also called inclusion symbols, and they include parentheses, brackets, braces, and the fraction bar. For shorthand, I'll just say that number 1, we do parentheses first. Number 2, you do all operations with exponents. Number 3, do all multiplications and divisions in order from left to right. And finally, number 4, do all additions and subtractions in order from left to right. In mathematics, we have agreed to the above order of operations to ensure that there is exactly one correct answer. Okay, let's start with the examples. 1 plus 2 times 3. I always like to start by writing down the order of operations on the top of the page to remind myself what is their proper order. Number 1, brackets. Number 2, exponents. Number 3, multiplication, division from left to right. Number 4, addition, subtraction, left to right. So we look at this problem and we see there are no brackets or exponents, so we start with the multiplication. 2 times 3, which equals 6. We write that down, bring down the rest of the problem. Now we have 1 plus 6, which equals 7. And we box our answer. Problem number 2, 1 plus 2 in parentheses times 3. Always make sure you copy down the problem correctly, including all the symbols and numbers. You notice I give myself plenty of space between the symbols and numbers. So we see in this problem there is a parenthesis, which means we need to do the calculation within the parenthesis first. 1 plus 2 equals 3. We write that down and bring down the rest of the equation on the next line. 3 times 3. 3 times 3 equals 9. We write that down on the next line, and we box our answer. Problem number 3, 2 times 3 minus 4. Once again, we copy that down carefully, and again, I like to write down the order of operations shorthand on the top of the page to remind myself what are the proper steps to take on this problem. 1, we have parentheses, 2, exponents, 3, multiplication, division from left to right, and 4, addition, subtraction from left to right. This problem, there are no brackets or exponents, so we start with the multiplication. 2 times 3 equals 6. We write that down on the next line, bringing down the rest of the equation, minus 4. 6 minus 4 equals 2. We write that down on the next line, and we box our answer. Problem number 4, 4 minus 6 divided by 2. Again, there are no brackets or exponents, so we start with the division problem. 6 divided by 2 equals 3. We write that down on the next line, and we copy the rest of the problem as it was written. So we have 4 minus 3, which equals 1. We write that down and box our answer. Problem number 5. 4 minus 6 in parentheses divided by 2. And again, I start by writing down the order of operations on the top right hand of the page. 1 brackets, 2 exponents, 3 multiplication, division from left to right, and 4 addition, subtraction from left to right. We see on this problem we have a parenthesis which we must solve first. 4 minus 6 equals negative 2. I write that down and I bring down the rest of the equation divided by 2. Now I have negative 2 divided by 2, which equals negative 1. I write that down on the next line and box my answer. Problem number 6. 2 times, open parenthesis, 3 minus 4, close parenthesis. Once again, I must start by solving within the parenthesis. 3 minus 4 equals negative 1. I write that down on the next line and bring down the 2 to multiply. 2 times negative 1 equals negative 2. I box my answer. Problem number 7. 3 plus 2 to the third power. Once again, I write an abbreviated form of the order of operations on the top of the page. 1 parentheses, 2 exponents, 3 multiplication division from left to right, and 4 addition subtraction from left to right. So problem 7 does not have a parenthesis, but it does have an exponent, 2 to the third power, which I solve. On the side, 2 times 2 times 2 simplifies to 4 times 2, which equals 8. I write 8 down on the next line and bring down the rest of the problem. 3 plus 8 equals 11. I box my answer. Problem number 8. Open parenthesis, 3 plus 2, close parenthesis, to the third power. So I see I have a parenthesis, which I must solve within first. 3 plus 2 equals 5. I write that down and bring down the rest of the problem, which is an exponent of 3. So 5 cubed is 5 times 5 times 5. It simplifies to be 25 times 5. I do that calculation on the side. 25 times 5 works out to be 125. Make sure you always double check these side calculations. So the answer is 125. I box my answer. Problem number 9. 3 minus 3 to the third power. Since this is a fresh page, I will rewrite my order of operations in abbreviated form. This might seem repetitive, but it is precisely this sort of repetition that hardwires these rules into your memory so that you will recall them when you need them. So I look on my problem and I don't have a parenthesis, but I do have an exponent, which must be solved first. 3 to the third power is 3 times 3 times 3. It simplifies to 9 times 3, which equals 27. I write 27 on the line below of the problem and bring down the rest of the problem. 3 minus 27, which I can't do in my head. So when I subtract integers, I add the opposite. Now I'm adding 2 integers with different signs, which makes this a subtraction problem. 27 minus 3, which equals 24. The number with the larger absolute value, negative 27, gives its sign, so the answer is negative 24. I box my answer. Next, problem 10. 2 to the third power times 3 to the second power. I write this problem down carefully, making sure I have all the characters and numbers correct. No parenthesis, so I start with solving 2 to the third power, which is 2 times 2 times 2, which simplifies to 4 times 2, which equals 8. I write 8 down below. Now I work on 3 square, which is 3 times 3, which equals 9. I write times 9 on the line below, next to the 8. 8 times 9 equals 72. I box my answer. Problem 11. 2 to the third power minus 3 square. Once again, I start by writing down the abbreviated order of operations on the top of the page. 1 parentheses, 2 exponents, 3 multiplication, division from left to right, and finally 4 addition, subtraction from left to right. Now I'm ready to work my problem, and I see there are no parentheses. So I solve the exponents. 2 to the third power is 2 times 2 times 2, which simplifies to 4 times 2, which equals 8. I write 8 down on the line below, minus 3 squared is 3 times 3, which equals 9. I write 9 on the line below. 8 minus 9 equals -1. I box my answer. Problem number 12. 2 to the third power plus 3 squared. 2 to the third power is 2 times 2 times 2, which works out to be 4 times 2, which equals 8. I write 8 down on the line below the problem. 8 plus 3 squared equals 9. I write 9 on the line below. So now I have 8 plus 9, which equals 17. I box my answer. Problem 13. 1 to the fifth power plus 2 times 3 to the fourth power. Once again, I start by writing the abbreviated order of operations. 1 parenthesis, 2 exponents, 3 multiplication and division from left to right, and 4 addition, subtraction from left to right. Problem 13 has no parenthesis, so I start by solving the exponents. 1 to the fifth power, 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 is just 1. I write that on the line below. I copy down the rest of the problem, plus 2 times 3 to the fourth power. Now I must simplify the exponent, 3 to the fourth power, which is 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. And that simplifies to 9 times 9, which equals 81. I write 81 on the line below the problem under 3 to the fourth power, and I bring down the rest of the equation, 1 plus 2 times 81. Now I simplify the multiplication. 2 times 81, or 81 times 2, I do that calculation on the side. I get 162. I write that down on the line below, 162, bringing down the rest of the problem, plus 1. 1 plus 162 equals 163. I box my answer. Problem 14. 12 minus 35 divided by 7 plus 2. I jot down the order of operations, 1, parentheses, 2 exponents, 3 multiplication, division from left to right, and 4 addition, subtraction from left to right. 14 has no parenthesis or exponents, so I start with the division problem. 35 divided by 7, which equals 5. I write that on the line below and bring down the rest of the problem. 12 minus 5 plus 2. So now I need to solve the addition, subtraction from left to right. 12 minus 5 equals 7. Bring down the rest of the problem. 7 plus 2 equals 9. I box my answer. Problem 15. 7 minus 72 minus 30 divided by 5 all over 3 plus 2. Notice I give myself a full line to write those numbers, and I don't compress them even though it's technically a fraction. This way I can see the numbers and equations clearly, which helps me minimize mistakes. All right, I continue to write my order of operations on the top of the page to remind myself how to go about this problem. Now the fraction bar itself is a grouping symbol, so I need to solve within that grouping first. And within that grouping, there is a division and subtraction. So I do the division first. 30 divided by 5 equals 6. I write that down on the line below and copy down the rest of the problem exactly as it is in the order that it was before. Now I must simplify within the fraction bar 72 minus 6. I do that calculation on the side. Please keep the main body of your problem free from calculation clutter. So do all these side calculations away from the problem so you can keep track of it. 72 minus 6 equals 66. I write that down on the line below, and I copy down the rest of the equation on the line below, keeping all the symbols and numbers exactly as they were on the line above. Now I must simplify the division first. 66 divided by 3. I do that calculation on the side. 66 divided by 3 works out to be 22. Again, always check your figures. Make sure you do these side calculations correctly. So 22, I write down on the line below underneath 66 divided by 3, and I bring down the rest of the equation. So now I have 7 minus 22 plus 2. I solve these addition subtraction problems from left to right. So first I must solve 7 minus 22. I do that calculation on the side. 7 minus 22, I add its opposite to get 7 plus negative 22. When I add integers with different signs, I treat it as a subtraction problem. 22 minus 7, and the number with the larger absolute value, negative 22, gives its sign, so the answer is negative 15. I write negative 15 on the line below the problem, and I bring down the rest of the equation. So now I have negative 15 plus 2. I do that calculation on the side. Negative 15 plus 2 is a subtraction problem. 15 minus 2, which equals 13. And the number with the larger absolute value is negative 15, so the answer is negative 13. I write negative 13 on the line below of the problem, and it's the solution, so I box my answer. Problem 16. 2 plus 3, open braces, 4 minus, open bracket, 6 minus 2 times, open parenthesis, 3 minus 1, close parenthesis, close bracket, divided by 2, close braces. I double check to make sure I got all the numbers and symbols and signs written down correctly, and I write the order of operations on the upper right corner to remind myself how to go about solving this problem. So first we see that this problem has multiple grouping symbols. We must solve the innermost symbol first, which would be 3 minus 1 inside the parenthesis. 3 minus 1 equals 2. I write that down on the line below, and then I scrupulously copy down the rest of the equation, including all the symbols and grouping symbols and signs and operations and numbers, making sure not to leave anything out on that line below. So I take the time to do this. I never try to do multiple calculations at once. It's better to go line by line, even if it takes a couple of pages of calculations. So now I can see that within my next line, I have a grouping symbol, brackets, which must be solved first. And within the brackets, I have 6 minus 2 times 2. And so we must solve the multiplication before the addition subtraction. So 2 times 2 equals 4. I write that down on the line below. And once again, I am ready to rewrite the entire equation, including all the symbols and the operations and the numbers and the grouping symbols, to make sure that I don't leave anything out. Now I see I have on the next line a grouping symbol within a grouping symbol. So 6 minus 4 must be simplified first, which equals 2. I write that down on the line below. And I include, again, on that next line, all the rest of the equation, not leaving anything out. So I simplify one by one these operations. Within the brackets, I have 2 divided by 2 now, which simplifies to 1. I write 1 down, and then again, I recopy the rest of the problem. 4 minus 1 within the braces times 3 plus 2. So 2 plus 3 times, open parentheses, 4 minus 1. So 4 minus 1 must be reduced first, because it is a grouping, which equals 3, and then I bring down the rest of the equation. Now I have 2 plus 3 times 3. 3 times 3 must be simplified first, it equals 9. Bring down the rest of the equation. Now I have 2 plus 9, which equals 11. Now I have no other calculations. I box my answer. Problem 17. 3 minus 2 times open braces, 5 minus 4 square times open bracket, 2 minus 3 times open parenthesis, 1 minus 3, close parenthesis, close brackets, close braces. Again, it helps by writing down the order of operations on the top of the page to remind myself of what needs to be solved first and in what order. Taking a careful look at problem 17, I see that there is an inside bracket. The most inside bracket is the one containing 1 minus 3, which I solve on the side. 1 minus 3, I add its opposite to get 1 plus negative 3. It's a subtraction problem. 3 minus 1 equals 2. The number with a larger absolute value is negative, so it's negative 2. I write negative 2 underneath 1 minus 3 on the problem below, on the line below, and then I scrupulously, again, write down all the symbols and brackets and signs and numbers on the line below, so that I have only simplified 1 minus 3, keeping the rest of the equation the same. Now I look at the problem. The most inside brackets contains 2 minus 3 times negative 2. Now this is an interesting problem. That negative sign complicates things. So I remember when I subtract something, I add its opposite. So now I have 2 plus negative 3 times negative 2. So I need to solve the multiplication first. Negative 3 times negative 2 equals positive 6. So I write down 6 underneath negative 3 times negative 2 on the equation, and then I write down the rest of the problem. I bring down the plus sign, and then I write down 2 in front of it, and I copy down the brackets and the multiplication sign, the exponent, moving over the rest of the bracket, the other multiples, subtraction, and then I start with 3. So again, nothing has changed except for the simplification of negative 2 times negative 3 in the line. Now I need to simplify within the brackets 2 plus 6, which equals 8. I write that on the line below. And once again, recopying the problem from above. Taking the time to include all the braces, enclosures, multiplications, symbols. Okay, now my problem includes 4 squared times 8 within a bracket. So 4 squared needs to be simplified first. 4 squared equals 4 times 4, which equals 16. I write that on the line below. And then once again, recopy the rest of the problem. And you see why it's important to include spaces between your numbers and symbols, so that as you simplify, going from line to line, you can see clearly what needs to be written and done. So now within the braces, I have 16 times 8, which must be simplified before the subtraction. 16 times 8 works out to be 128. I write that down on the line below underneath 16 times 8. And once again, I write down all the symbols and numbers and signs and operations. Now I have a final bracket, 5 minus 128. I do that calculation on the side. 5 minus 128. I add its opposite to get 5 plus negative 128. This is a subtraction problem, and the number with the larger absolute value gives its sign, so it would be a negative 123. And I write negative, okay, so I've written this wrong, and I always make sure your side calculations are correct. So I need to erase this, and the answer is negative 123. So now I write negative 123 underneath the brackets on the equation, and I bring down the brackets and then the rest of the equation. So now I have 3 minus 2 times negative 123. The multiplication must be simplified before the subtraction. So I do that calculation on the side. Negative 123 times 2 will be a negative number, and it works out to be negative 246. So I write down negative 246 underneath 2 times negative 123, and I write a parenthesis around that to clarify, and I continue with the rest of the equation. So now I have 3 minus negative 246. I add the opposite, so now I have 3 plus 246, and that works out to be 249. And I have no more calculations to do, so that is the final solution, and I box my answer. Joe finished 15 assignments and 3 tests, which he received 2 A's and 1 B in math class. Each assignment earns him 2 points. For each test, he can earn 10 points for an A and 7 points for a B. What is his total points? So first I write down the facts of the problem. There are 15 assignments and 3 tests. For those 3 tests, he received 2 A's and 1 B. And so for the assignments, he gets 2 points each. I write that down so that I can see clearly what the problem is. And for the 2 A's, he received 10 points each. And for the B he received on the test, he gets 7 points. So I write down 7 points. So now we need to come up with an equation to figure out his total points. So that would be 15 assignments times 2 points each. So that would be 15 times 2 plus, for the two A's, he gets 10 points each, so that would be 2 times 10. And for the 1B, he gets 7 points, so that would be plus 1 times 7. So this equation will help us figure out his total points. So equals total points. So once again, I start out by writing out the order of operations: 1 brackets, 2 exponents, 3 multiplication, division from left to right, and 4 addition, subtraction from left to right. So in this problem, there are 3 multiplications that need to be solved first. I start from left to right. So I start with 15 times 2. I do that equation on the side and I get 30. So I write 30 underneath 15 times 2. I bring down plus, and then I have 2 times 10 plus 1 times 7. So I just keep bringing down the equation as I simplify one part of it at a time. Now I must solve the next multiplication, 2 times 10, which equals 20. I bring that down on the line below and rewrite the rest of the equation. So I have 30 plus 20 plus 1 times 7. And now I simplify 1 times 7, which is just 7. And I write that on the line below. And then I have the rest of the equation, which I bring down. So I have 30 plus 20 plus 7. So 30 plus 20 plus 7, I do the addition from left to right. 30 plus 20 equals 50, and that is 50. I write on the line below, bring down the rest of the equation, plus 7. 50 plus 7 equals 57. So now I have finished the calculations. The answer is 57 points, and I box my answer. Practice problems for this lesson are found on page 24 of the Beginning Algebra book. Please do as many problems as you need to get a firm grasp of the material, and check your answers with those on page 290 to make sure you did the problems correctly. I hope this video was useful for you. Thank you for joining me at Do the Math America.